Hey all, Hipper here. So, a lot of people have been asking about this video here about Agile commanders, and I've been thinking about the best way to do it, and I think I've ended up with a pretty good format here. But just let me know in the comments if something doesn't make sense, or you think I'm skipping lightly over a point that you would like to have, explained a little bit further. This video will also cover how to create an Agile cruiser setup without using any premium commanders or pay-to-win commanders, whatever you want to call them. And of course, it'll also show you what I think is the best premium setup if you have all the premium commanders. So each nation that has cruisers has at least one primary or main Agile commander, and those are the ones I've put on the top line, which is Mbelli, Mikawa, Müller, Tennant, Ru, Soundwave, Kincaid, Beepley, and Makarov. So out of these 9 main commanders, only 2 are premiums, which is Soundwave and Beepley. So if you're picking a main commander as an Agile commander, you are pretty much spoiled for choice, and you have at least one for each nation. So pretty much anyone can put an Agile main commander on their cruisers. That's not really a problem. So if you look at the lower line of commanders, and these are the inspirations that you can put on your main commander. And this is where most of them are in fact premiums. And what that really means is that if you want to specialize or really max into rudder builds in particular, you really don't have a choice other than to pay for some premium rudder commanders. But again, you don't have to. A main commander is fine for an Agile build. It's only if you really want to go like the full Monty, so to speak, you can pay for especially a Sure Lane Baltimore. She is really worth every cent. So if we just go through the basics here, first you have to pick your main commander, and in this case I've picked Ru, the French Agile cruiser commander. And then you have the choice between the 6 inspirations, and you can mix and match pretty much any way you like, provided that you have the commanders, of course. Generally, pick the ones that you have at the highest level. Except if you have a Sure Lane Baltimore, you should pretty much always pick her if you want to have a nice Agile build, because she gives just a bit more punch than pretty much all of the others. So once you've picked your main commander, you pick your 2 inspirations. And in this example here, I picked a Sure Lane Baltimore and a Tesla. And these are the best commanders if you want a full rudder build. But of course, just keep in mind that an Agile build is not all rudder. It's mostly about rudder, but it's also about speed. And the 2 gentlemen on the left, Fraser and Müller, they actually offer that. So if we look at this setup here a different way, then if you look at the inspirations for our Ru build here, then you can see Fraser and Müller on the left, who are orange here. They give you more speed, 3% and 5%. And obviously Müller is the better one to put on because he gives you more speed at 5%. And the blue inspirations on the right, Sure Lane Baltimore, Takao, Tesla and Soundwave, they give you improved rudder shift. And Takao, Tesla and Soundwave, they also give you an extra perk that doesn't have anything to do with rudder. But for example, Tesla improves your turret rotation, and that's why she is my pick of the 3. So let's say that you want your Ru build here to have great rudder but also good speed. That means you should pick a Sure Lane Baltimore as one of your inspirations, and then Müller as the second inspiration, meaning that you'll have not the fastest rudder possible, but pretty much the fastest possible. Plus you'll have another few knots of speed, which is important for some people, myself included, and it depends on the ship as well. You could also go with a full rudder build, for example here, pick Ru and then go with a Sure Lane Baltimore and Soundwave in this example here, which will give you the fastest rudder possible. But of course you are missing out on a tiny bit of speed, which for some people is a no-go, and like I said, it really depends on the ship. And just to underline, if you don't have any premium commanders, then you can still do Agile builds no problem, but you'll have to focus on speed and not rudder, because all the rudder inspirations, they are premium commanders, and they are powerful, and that's probably why they are premiums. So you can see we have two main commanders that are premiums, and the premiums here, they are red. So there's plenty of choice in the main commanders, like I said. In the inspirations, you only have Fraser and Müller as your choice. So you can really only do a speed build there, which is also great. I mean, that is also an agile build. But if you had to pick one of the red inspirations, you should definitely pick Azure Lane Baltimore. Also, don't forget that if you like to play Italian cruisers, then Soundwave is a good investment, because he is the only commander that can be used both as a main and as an inspiration. Of course, not on the same cruiser, obviously. So you cannot have an Amalfi with Soundwave at the helm and then him as the inspiration as well. That's impossible. But you can use him on other nations' cruisers. So that's just a little tip there. So, which are the best agile inspirations? And these are the ones I have highlighted here. It's Müller, Azure Lane Baltimore, and Clara Teslau. Those are the ones that will allow you to do any agile build possible, because you have Müller for speed, if you need that on a build. You have Azure Lane Baltimore for the better rudder, and then you have Teslau for better rudder and better turret rotation. And that's pretty much the best inspirations possible. Alright, let's go through my commanders and my agile setups here. And let's pick the first commander I think I maxed ever in the game. I think so, at least I can't remember anymore, but it is Kincaid. And you can see his perks, and they are the same for almost every agile commander. That never changes. And for this guy, I have Müller on as an inspiration, and then I have Azure Lane Baltimore. That is because I primarily use this build on Wichita, and with Kincaid at the helm, you already have very, very fast rudder. So it's better to put Müller on instead of one of the other rudder inspirations to get you just a little bit of extra speed to allow you to position and reposition easier. So the Americans have two base agile commander, and the other one is this lady here, Shelley Beebley, and she's a premium commander. And I use her primarily on Wichita as well. But there's a difference between her and Kincaid, because I don't have Müller on this build here. Because if you look at the fourth row of her perks, I haven't chosen the rudder skill here, because I prefer her private zone skill. But that means I miss out on a bit of rudder, and that's why I've added Teslau on as an inspiration here instead of Müller. So I get some rudder back, but I lose some speed. But I think that's a trade well worth. Okay, and that brings us to the Japanese base agile commander, and that is Mikawa here. I use him primarily on Atago, and he works extremely well on this ship here. As you can see, my inspirations here are Azure Lane Baltimore for extra rudder. That gets the rudder down to 2 seconds, and that's the sweet spot really at tier 7 cruisers. So that's why I don't have any other rudder inspiration here. I have Müller to give me some extra speed. Because if you put like one of the other rudder inspirations on, you get 1.8 second rudder, and it's like the difference is negligible. But I have to mention this, that the difference between, for example, 2.2 rudder and 2 seconds rudder, that is a huge difference. But as soon as you get to 2 seconds, there's no need to go any further below that. Alright, next up is the UK Agile main commander, and this is Tennant. And he is one of the best guys to fully level, because he works on no less than 3 ships. As you can see in this build here, I'm using a full rudder build with Azure Lane Baltimore and Takao. So this Tennant build here works well on Albemarle as one ship, and of course it also works very well on Edinburgh, the light tier 7 cruiser in UK, and it also works very well on Exeter, which is a tier 5 heavy cruiser actually. So you get a lot of bang for your buck with Tennant. He works well on many ships. Alrighty, next up is Lütjens, and he is the German Agile main commander, and he has Azure Lane Baltimore and Teslau as inspirations. This build here works really well on the German Tier 7 Hipper and also the premium sister ship Prince Eugen. Alright, on to the French, and the French main Agile commander is André Roux here, and I use Azure Lane Baltimore and Tesla on this guy for the fastest rudder possible. And Charles Martel is the best ship to use with this guy here, with this build. It makes the ship very, very powerful. Next up we have the Russians, and the main Agile commander here is Makarov. And again, I'm using Azure Lane Baltimore and Tesla as inspirations. And there aren't that many cruisers that benefit from this build among the Russians. Tallinn is probably the only one really. But the destroyers work well. For example, Khabarovsk here works really well with this build here. And the same goes for the Tier 7 destroyer Tashkent. Alright, on to the Italians, and just like the Americans, they are lucky enough to have two base commanders. The first one here is Mimbelli, and I'm using Azure Lane Baltimore and Tesla on him, and that works really well. Unfortunately, you only have one ship that you can use this build on, and that is the Amalfi. But it does work very, very well. So like mentioned earlier, the second option for the Italians is Soundwave, who's a premium commander. And I'm using the same build I do on Mimbelli with Tesla and Azure Lane Baltimore. And again, this really works only on Amalfi. So you get two commanders for pretty much just one ship in the Italian line. Alright guys, that was my in-depth look here into Agile commanders and inspirations. And like I said in the beginning, if you still have any questions or anything you think I skipped over, please let me know in the comments. And otherwise, well, try these builds out and let me know what you think. So hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you out there.